Hey guys, what's going on? It's Space Cowboy here. Welcome back once again. We're continuing the position evaluation series. Took a week break because I wanted to wait till we were getting closer to training camp so that once that starts rolling around, we'll make some videos and go from there. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start off with the defensive side of the ball with the defensive line and get to the other positions over the next couple of days. So without further ado, if you haven't done so already, if you could leave a like on this video, that'd be fantastic, along with subscribing. If you're new, about 90% of you guys watching aren't subscribed, so I recommend you do that and hit the notification bell as well so you don't miss out. So the defensive line is a huge focal point because if you don't have a strong defensive line, odds are your defense isn't going to do well. And we kind of saw that with the Cowboys in more recent examples. You can look at last year, but also you can look at 2018. And how, when the defensive line was playing well, the defense was doing well. But once the defensive line lost key guys in that interior, it really didn't look so well. So I wanted to kind of go over not only just the ends of the defensive line, we all know DeMarcus Lawrence and stuff like that, but everybody in general, because there's going to be a huge competition this year, seeing how well this defensive line is going to look in terms of its rotation, because that is something that the Cowboys have needed. You can't have DeMarcus Lawrence come off the football field and you end up getting gashed, or you can't even get to the quarterback. So I think that Dallas will do much better at the defensive line position this year than previous years. Now, as I'm taking a look at the defensive line and just who we have there, you added a bunch of young guys, and it's just interesting to see how the Cowboys are going to configure this, because you have a lot of position flexibility, and I think that, we'll see how this defensive line is going to look once we get to that final 53-man roster. But, obviously DeMarcus Lawrence, as of the moment, is your best defensive lineman. I understand that there are people that have the conversation of, okay, is he really that great? We're paying him all this money. He hasn't gotten a lot of sacks. And I hear you, and I will say that the defensive end position is a lot more than just getting sacks. Obviously, that's a huge component of it. But, if he's going into this next year and he has another season where he doesn't get that many sacks and production-wise he's not doing well, then we'll start having a conversation of, do the Cowboys think about letting him go? Okay. Now, when you look at on the other end, before we get to the interior in terms of a starter, I personally think that Randy Gregory is your other starter. You should try to maybe sign him to a long-term deal on a cheap one because of the value. And I think that if he ends up panning out, and again, we don't know what Randy Gregory is going to look like over a full 16-game season. We're going to see that this year, hopefully, if he doesn't get hurt. If he ends up producing and he ends up being one of your better defensive linemen, odds are he's going to be gone. But considering that the Cowboys kind of helped him and were with him through his whole process of, getting rid of those inner demons type of process, I think that he might come back on a cheap deal. Who knows? But, he, in my honest opinion, I have said this for the longest time, as of right now, he is your best natural pass rusher. And I hope that with Dan Quinn, and the whole, experience that he's had, I hope that he can help Randy continue to grow as a player. And he's shown promise. So I'm hoping that this could be the year we see him, because, I've been kind of beforehand, I've been irritated with the whole, come on, man, we need to figure out what's going to happen because we can't be holding on to this, but if you're not paying the guy anything, then it doesn't matter to me, but we'll see. Now, in terms of defensive end rotation, I'm taking a look at this depth chart. Now, this isn't the official depth chart. This is just what they speak on. So, Dorrance Armstrong, is in that rotation. Bradley and Nye should definitely be in the rotation. And, you got Chauncey Goldstein and Rondell Carter and a couple other practice squad guys. So, for me, I think that we need to get someone that's better than Dorrance Armstrong. Sure, he can be a solid, at best, rotational piece, but I just don't like how the Cowboys had this attachment to Dorrance Armstrong. I liked him coming out of college and when he, became a member of the Dallas Cowboys, but ever since then, he really hasn't been, anything noteworthy. But then you look at guys like Bradley and I and Chauncey Goldstein, more specifically with Bradley and I. We never got a chance to see Bradley and I in like a full, game. I want to see if this guy can do anything. You drafted this guy. A lot of people called him a steal. I saw the type of production he did in college, and I definitely feel that if you give this guy a chance, he can be something. But we don't know what's going on. And I really hope that he gets his chance this year. So he's a player to watch, most definitely this preseason. And we'll go and talk about that in the future once we get closer to training camp for players to watch. Now, Chauncey Goldstein, the Cowboys really like him. And I think with him, you can put him on the interior, which I wouldn't be shocked at. But he's probably going to start out at, the edge and be one of those rotational guys. But aside from that, I definitely believe that, the Dallas improve on the edge, side of things. I don't know. I mean, it really depends on how these young guys look. If Bradley and I and Chauncey Goldstein really produce and are solid rotational pieces, I would argue then yes. And also it depends on what happens with Randy Gregory, because if Randy Gregory is good to go, has no issues, you can argue that they improved. But right now, it's kind of like we gotta wait and see. Now, the interior gets a bit weird because, Dallas doesn't have that guy in the interior of the defensive line yet. And what I really don't like what Dallas has done in years is they want to go with we're going to just do this by a committee type of thing and not have a dedicated guy in the interior of our defensive line. And that's really hurt them. Now, I'm not asking for an Aaron Donald type of guy, because that's going to be unrealistic to get a guy like that unless it's like down the road. But I want to see a committed, hey, this is the guy that is our starting defensive tackle or two that we can rely on. And we don't have that. So right now, you got Neville Gallimore, Oza Ogadizua, Justin Hamilton, Tristan Hill, Carlos Watkins, Quentin Bohanna, and Brent Urban. Now, out of those groups of guys, I think that Brent Urban is going to be a starter this year. And he does have this fan favorite type of vibe to him, and I really like the energy he brings. I mean, statistically speaking, he is a really good run stuffer, which is something Dallas needs. But to me, he looks more like a Band-Aid than he is like a full-on cure for our woes in the interior. Now, if you're able to keep him long-term and if the injury troubles don't come up, cool. But we got to wait and see with Brent Urban, right, to be fully realistic. Now, you have young guys in Neville Gallimore, Tristan Hill, Osa Ogadizua, and Quentin Bohanna. Now, I don't know how year 2 Neville Gallimore is going to look and Tristan Hill is going to look, assuming that the ACL injury is fully healed. If he could be off the team, God forbid that he's still hurt and he doesn't really do well. He has no attachment to this coaching staff. But when you look at guys like Quentin Bohanna and Osa, I do think that they are staples for young rotational pieces. And Dallas can't be doing this, we have this one guy that can come in and then we get another. No, you need to find that guy and stick to it. I'm hoping one of these guys can be the person you can lean on. And I like that they got some big guys, more specifically with Quentin Bohanna, but I don't know. We got to wait and see with this defensive line because it's a lot of unproven young guys. There isn't, sure, you have Brent Urban in there. You have your known veterans with DeMarcus Lawrence. You got Randy Gregory in there, which if he's there and he's healthy and he has the full, basically he runs through this whole process of the whole season and he has no issues, he can be good. But, if I were to give a letter grade on this position, I would probably say a C+ right now, to be honest with you. It's just the only reason that's really being held up is because DeMarcus Lawrence and Randy Gregory are in that mix. It really comes down to, can the Dallas Cowboys get good talent in here that can complement these other guys? Because if DeMarcus Lawrence starts to disappoint, then you're back at square one because you're kind of leaning on him as being your best defender right now at that position. But if you were to ask me names to keep of note, I would say Gallimore is a name to keep a look at because going into year two, I mean, he made plays when he had his chance. A guy that I would be looking at is Randy Gregory. I'll be looking at Bradley and Nye. And, the other young guys, the three young guys the Cowboys brought in Ogadazua, Bohanna, and Goldstein. I think Urban will know what we're getting from him if you've seen what he's been able to do back in Chicago. But either way, I think that Dallas, it's fair to give them a C+ grading for now. I think that they're slightly above average, but they're not. Like, this is where your struggles are going to come this season. Can this defense get you stops, and can you make it at least a middle-of-the-pack defense? And that doesn't mean, 15 and up. That means more so, if you can get it between 16 and 20. So that's, I think, the goal for Dallas this season. Now, I want to hear what you guys have to say down below. If you haven't done so already, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and hit the notification bell if you haven't done that already. Just leave a comment down below how you personally feel about this position. Do you think that Dallas improved? Do you think that there's still work to be done? I want to see what you guys have down below. All right? Have a great rest of your day, guys. Bye-bye.